Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our uranium technical analysis update. I know you guys like this update. I'm going to go over a couple of different things here of what I look for at kind of short-term bottoming patterns. I think we're getting closer to the consolidation being done, but I don't know if we're quite yet done yet. I'm going to show you what I look for so you guys can look at it real time yourself for a bottoming type pattern on a candlestick basis or a weekly candlestick basis. I've got a couple of charts that I can give you some examples on, which is uranium, to show you what I kind of am looking for. So let's jump in. Again, this is just my financial opinion, does not constitute as advice or anything like that. So here we go. Here is uranium. Now I'm going to start with the physical price of uranium. We're at 44.55. We're still above this resistance support line. So it still looks really good for a potential move on up. Even if we come down lower, we want to stay above this support line. And this is where I'll kind of get into it. This is a weekly chart on Urnm, North Shore Global Uranium Mining ETF. And this is kind of what I am suspecting. It doesn't mean it plays out this way. We're always playing with probabilities. We're not playing with for sure outcomes. But this is a weekly candlestick. That means each candlestick is a week. And what I look for is these big buying pressure days. And notice when we were coming down, the selling pressure was bigger than the up days here. So we had selling pressure, selling pressure, selling pressure, weak, very weak movement higher, and then we sold off. When we came up here, the buyers stepped in and had a lot of buying pressure in this candlestick day here. And you can notice that the candlestick before it was small, and the one after it was big. This is basically a bullish engulfing pattern. Good probability of moving higher, and that's exactly what it did. Big buying pressure for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Boom! It knocks it higher. Notice that the candlesticks in size of the pullback are small. And what I consider this is the buyers are in control. Big buying pressure, small selling pressure. Big buying pressure, small selling pressure. And then you see another bullish engulfing in terms of a weekly candlestick here, which means we're probably going to go to the upside. It's a statistical probability. And what happened? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks up. Small pullback. Big bullish engulfing. We're going higher. We pulled up and then sideways to higher. Now, we are still in this ultra bull market. This is a consolidation pattern that we went through. We had a big old, up day or up week here versus the down, and then we shot higher and broke through this high. We're kind of coming back and back testing this high, and I don't know if we're done yet with the back test. I like to see a big buying pressure white candlestick like this. And if you notice, every pullback at the beginning of the pull of the next move, we had a big buying pressure week and moved higher. Big buying pressure week, buying pressure week, buying pressure week, and we've moved on up. I'm looking for that big buying pressure week candlestick. That is what I'm looking for. Now, we've only pulled back for one, and we're on the second week. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of bounce down to this line, put in a bullish, we'll call it a big bullish candlestick before we move on up. And that's what I'm looking for. Looking at this from a daily perspective, where the candlesticks are daily, you can see the big move higher, and then we're coming back, and it just hasn't, I don't think we've consolidated long enough yet. It could be, but most of the time it takes a little bit, and I'm going to show you on another chart kind of what I'm looking for a consolidation period and what it looks like. But Camco's looking, we got a good update today. I still think we got a little bit more time to go sideways, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes they like to just pull back and ramp higher. It could. But I think we could go a little bit more sideways a little bit before moving, a big move higher. But we're getting closer. It looks like we're getting closer. It looks like we're getting the candlesticks to kind of, the buyers are starting to equal the sellers here, and then a shift will occur and the buyers will overwhelm the sellers. But it still looks like we need a little bit more time on a lot of these. This one looks like it could potentially go a little bit lower. We do have support down here at 54 cents. So it still has some room to go down. And on this one, I'm going to talk about the pullback And this pullback, you can kind of see the pullback here and what it did. It kind of bounced once, twice, 3 times, and then took off. This right here is a smushed up movement of this. And what I look for is kind of a bounce. I look at 1 bounce, we kind of come up, 2 bounce. If it's really tight here, we could say this is a 3rd bounce, and then we could have one more kind of bounce or something like that, or a sideways dead period movement before moving on up. And the dead period's this little guy in here. We had a bullish engulfing right there, and I'm like, ooh, this is a good time to buy. But I still think we have maybe a little bit longer to consolidate. But again, guys, I could be wrong. And I'm seeing that across kind of the board. You can kind of see this big move down, bounce, 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 and the lows were getting lower, and the lows, I should say, the highs were getting lower, and the lows were staying flat. Bullish engulfing, see ya when it want to be ya. And then I think we're going to see this kind of bouncing action for a little bit. Standard uranium, like I said, we were going to maybe pull back to this trend line, which we did. That was a good buying point at 24 cents. And maybe we do a little bit of a bounce here and move on up. Pure Point looks like it's putting in some good work. Doesn't look too bad. Base load, again, good update today. Looks like we're playing with this resistance line right now. Nice, good volume. Here's Azincourt. We broke the downtrend here, clear as day, and then we do the little pullback, and it looks like it's finding support where it's at today. So that looks pretty good at 8 cents. Forum Energy Metals, again, we're finding support kind of at this line going across here of 34 cents. And we're kind of bouncing sideways, and now we just got to wait for the buyers to step in and push it higher. Bannerman is still trying to find its support. I think we're going to do some more bouncing before moving higher. Here's Forces Metals. I'll draw a trend line in here just to show you guys what I am looking at. There's the trend line. We're sitting on the top of the trend line. Not a bad spot to be looking at picking up some shares, in my opinion, for what I would be doing. I would be looking at it right here and trying to pick off some shares. Now, Deep Yellow, I threw a line in here. There's a lot of support in this region down here. There's some support above it. I would look for a reversal candlestick day, which means that we have a wick at the bottom. It's called a hammer pattern, a bullish piercing, a bullish engulfing, some sort of pattern, reversal pattern. And what those patterns look like is this is a hammer pattern here. A bullish engulfing is a candlestick that is big, and a big update engulfing the ones before it, which means it's a statistical probability of moving higher. And those are what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a reversal thing. And Deep Yellow down here, I would be buying it if it were me. Global Atomic, I think we're going to do a little bit more bouncing. Before we move up. I want to see a bullish engulfing or some sort of pattern. It could pull back here as well. It could, but I would use that as a buying opportunity. And the reason I think it might, it could pull back, and I'll just draw on the line here. We do have this line down below it. So it could pull back to this, 220, 210, somewhere in that range. Goviax looks like it's being drawn back to its support area at like 26 cents. So that's a possibility. Fission looks like it's coiling up here. So we're definitely coiling up. It's looking like it could launch either way. I don't know which way. Most of the time it will launch higher if it came from the bottom up, consolidates, and then launches higher. So, I mean, this is one that I think looks pretty good at any second here. Denison Mines looks really good. Nice big buying pressure day here. We're at support. I think it looks pretty good. UU's looking pretty good. You can see we contracted down to this corner and then we popped higher. So this could move higher. Very well could. UEC looks like it's trying to find some support in this region. And then we've got UROY. UROY's still selling off some. We still can move a little bit lower on it. This is where the support area is at 280 or something like that, 290. URG, We're still pulling back. We're getting all these little wiggle squiggles, and we're finding some support in this area. There's some better support down here at $1.40 if it gets that low. Kier International, we've tried to break through here. There's a lot of sellers up here. Bearish engulfing, but we're hanging out. This could break, could break and zigzag lower or sideways, but it could also break to the upside here as well. So I'll draw the pattern in and show you guys what I'm seeing. But we're about to break either way, and I don't know which way it's going to go. The candlesticks don't give me any guidance to where this is probably going to break to, but there's the pattern. Usually it's a continuation pattern to the upside, but we've got two large bearish engulfing candlesticks in here as well. So we'll see where it goes. UEX CF looks like it's trying to find a bottoming, a bottom here. Might see a small down day tomorrow. I kind of like it down here. Doesn't look too bad to me. Centrus, we'll see which way this thing goes. If it breaks to the upside, Hallelujah. Geez, I can't even say that. But that looks like it's going to try to set up to break to the upside to me. But again, we're in the pattern. It could break either way. Peninsula Energy. What I like here is we've got big buying pressure coming up, small selling pressure, and we're starting to contract and slow down the momentum right to our support line. So, I mean, if you guys like it, I'd be looking at it right here if it were me. Boss Energy, we're still selling off a little bit. 17 cents, not a bad spot to be buying something. If it were me. And Paladin Energy, we're still far away from its support area. We could head a little bit lower here. So we need to we're finding some support. This chart, I'd like to see it flatten out more. It's still kind of just leaking off at a fast rate. I'd like to see it stop. But that's what I have for today. I wanted to touch on all that stuff for you guys. And there are some in here that I would buy. And there's some that I think may need a little bit more time. So I think we're early, but it's better to be early than late sometimes, because it could turn very quick. We've got a lot of inflation out there. We've got energy, which could go up in the oil area, oil and natural gas. And I know a lot of these are tied together. So if oil and natural gas move higher, it could have an impact in how fast this, basically touches off and goes. So I would buy. So I can't give advice, but I myself would buy some of these companies that I am interested in, like Forces Metals or a UEX CF, or some of these that are kind of coming down, or buy into strength like an FISOF if it breaks the patterns on some of these, or International Consolidated Uranium. Like if they're breaking things up, or they're touching their patterns on the downside, like a Deep Yellow Mite or a Standard Uranium, they're kind of right at their support lines. That's where I get interested. That's where I like to buy. And this isn't advice, guys. I'm just telling you what I would do and where I would be purchasing. And I have done some purchasing in some of these companies. So take it for whatever you guys want to use it for. Give me a thumbs up if you like the content. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.